Little glitchy this morning. Little glitchy.
Told you, my mouse has been acting up. I think my mouse wasn't clicking the button
Oh,
to start
yeah.
it. Who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows? All right,
Well, we're live in the hive today, so to speak, right, Mr. Kaufman? How are you doing this Friday fun day?
we are back, and like I said before we got on this thing, it's been a rough week.
Yeah.
A little let down. Beautiful, beautiful week last week. It was awesome. Really
Yes.
nice.
Yes. Cabo was nice last week. That is true. But we had to get back to reality a little bit this week. Yes,
Realities.
it was an adjustment. Was an adjustment. So, but definitely proud to say we've taken possession of our penthouse condo in Cabo. So it's still sinking in. If I'm being honest with you, like I haven't, like it's been a long time since we owned the property in Costa Rica. That was 14, 15 years ago now. So it's been a while since we've owned international property. Still kind of sinking in a little bit. So
Well, you picked a good one, man. I have to tell you, I don't know that. No, I'm pretty decent at, I guess, the design interior type stuff. Not bad on exterior, but if I had to pick, if somebody drove me up to a piece of bare land or close to it, I'm not sure I would have had the vision that you had for that view. I mean, that view is, I mean, it's a $1 million view. It is so nice. I love it.
yes, it definitely better. I think I mentioned it definitely better than I knew it would be good, but I mean it's like as lined up dead on as you can get down to Land's End and the bay there and everything. So yeah, it was all right. Thanks.
I'll repeat though. I'm done with whales. I've seen enough whales on this trip than most people see in a lifetime, and it's
Got
uh,
some whales in. That's right. They started going crazy. It took a couple days, but then they started going crazy the rest of the week. That was all good. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, I don't know. I guess we kick this thing off.
That's right. So so we're back with the Creative Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. See, I got it. That was like maybe twice in a row now. I got that right.
Up there.
Powered by the cats here behind Sub 2 Empire. What is our topic today? I think it's a timely one. What do we have working today?
It is a timely one. We just had some events happen. I'm sure a lot of folks out there. I guess that are in social media land have heard about it and following some of the Facebook groups. But um, had a little event happen down in Florida this week, and we'll talk about that just a little bit. But so this one is timely, and what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about wholesaling subject to deals. So this episode is going to be geared more towards the wholesalers uh, rather than the people that they're wholesaling to. And yeah, because it's a very very dangerous. We've said this a million times, but it's definitely it can be dangerous to attempt to wholesale a subject to deal. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're also going to try and show you the quote right way. There's a million different ways that a million different people are going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how we're going to tell you how we recommend doing it if you have to do it. Um, because no matter how much you talk, there are people that are not going to heed your advice about not wholesaling a subject to deal, and they're going to do it anyway. So our objective is to hopefully by the end of this podcast, hopefully show folks, um, the safer. It's not safe. It's not a safe thing to do at all. But how to align yourself so that if you are a wholesaler out there and you're trying to wholesale subject to deals, how to align yourself to be better protected and reduce that uh, what are obvious risks. I'm not sure I need to. maybe we'll talk about that too. We'll talk about some of the risks as well of wholesaling a subject to deal. So
Yeah.
so let's get it started.
Yeah. And real quick, can I just interject as we get going there too? So wholesaling regular deals is great, the cash deals, because really you're just flipping the contract, right? You're flipping the paper. But when you're doing a subject to deal, there's an underlying mortgage. And remember, typically, the biggest expense or the biggest asset, and of course, probably the biggest liability anybody has is the house that they live in. So that's why we're saying, when we don't want you to truly just wholesale. We don't want you to flip the contract on a sub two deal. There's a lot more underlying the sub two deal than that. It's the whole family's financial history. If that goes bad, right, those buyers, the borrowers on the loan, are at very great risk. So we just thought we'd talk about that. But to kick it off here, maybe we ought to go back and so let's talk about what. And I didn't even know this until you mentioned to me earlier before we jumped on here too. So what's happened in Florida lately? Why is this a timely topic?
Yeah, there was a there was a now I'm not 100% sure about uh, how this company acquired these deals, but apparently they had a portfolio of subject to deals that essentially they defaulted on the loans. Now, I say they defaulted on the payments.
to
The
to the
def-
sub two, the
right,
underlying sub two loans. They stopped paying them.
right,
30 of them too, by the way. I think it was 30 30 different subject to
right. So
deals.
they defaulted on the payments, but what people don't understand is they did not default on the loan. The actual borrower, the person who they took that property subject to from, is the one that now has the default on their, in their records. It's a terrible situation. It's really really bad. Um, and it quite honestly, there's easy remedies for all of this stuff.
Oh, good God. We could have gone there. If we would have known, we could have flown down there and just taken it. We could have just taken all 30 off their hands in one fell swoop and gotten everything settled and going. Yes.
Well,
If
who knows?
only they would have called.
Who knows the conditions of these houses? From what I understand, they were they were taking a lot of these homes were taken subject to, and there were there were arrears that needed to be paid and all this stuff. So there were actually people that actually loaned, kind of like what we do. Well, no, exactly like what we do. We make loans on take a second position on subject to deals for things like, our borrowers have arrears to pay. Sometimes they have repairs, all that kind of stuff that maybe some folks don't. Maybe they lose sight of how big or how small that process is, and how important it is to have those borrowers. But now those lenders, rather, I said borrowers, those lenders, they're now they're now out the money that they lent as well. So it's compounded. It's been a big issue. I think this happened, was it last week or the week before, or something like that.
Yeah, very recently because
So
I
it's
haven't even, it wasn't even on my radar.
so
So
it's very very fresh.
can we just talk a second maybe about before we go on? Can we just talk about this is a perfect time to refresh everybody. Like you need to have your exit strategy set. And maybe there's two or three exit strategies that make sense on a sub two deal. Great. But you got to stay within those two or three exit strategies. And I don't know what their exit strategies here were. I don't know if they were going to do straight rentals, if they were going to do like our model where we seller finance it on the backside to people. I don't know what they were going to do. But why would anybody, an investor, we're talking 30 of them, right? Why would you, and let's say half of them had arrears, I don't know. You're paying all that money out of your pocket, right? And then you just stop paying. Did you put tenants in there? I don't know the period of time and all of that stuff, but what is your exit strategy? Are you executing your exit strategy? Like number one, right? Regardless of whether your sub two paperwork and was solid or not, when you make that promise to take over the sub two loan, like what are you doing? You need to have a plan so that you pay that sub two mortgage and cash flow it, right? That's the plan as a real estate investor. So like what did that all go bad? Like what happened that made you walk away from 30 deals? Like I don't know. That's I'm curious, especially if you had out of pocket money to acquire them, the arrears and such.
I
So
think even if you have the best plan, which I consider, seller finance to be the best option for these, even if you have the best plan, if you can't execute it, or if you maybe you just don't have systems and processes in place for executing on that plan, or uh, and again, I don't know exactly what happened here, why those payments were defaulted on, but it kind of screams to me like it was it was one of those things like, yeah, we got this subject to deal, we got a great subject to deal, but we don't have a real actual plan, systems in place. We haven't, uh, you know, maybe if they were looking, maybe it was maybe they were rentals. Um, I kind of feel like they were, but I don't know.
seems
But
like, and maybe they couldn't rent it for what they thought they could, and maybe they couldn't get tenants, and there was just like, we can't make these payments, right? Because there's this lag time now between getting a income generating in there. We just couldn't do it, and we're just like, okay, we'll walk away.
well, yeah, I mean that, and you could have just completely outside factors. Maybe somebody got into some financial trouble, and they just chose the wrong path and decided to take that cash flow and and use it elsewhere, because essentially we all know if you take something subject to, it's more of it's a non-recourse type of loan. I mean, it doesn't fall on your shoulders if you don't make the payments, and so maybe, who knows, maybe that's what they thought. I don't really know the motivation behind it, but um, it seems, I mean, this is not the first time this has happened either. There's been several cases. There was some down in Texas, which, number one, is one of the reasons Texas is really tightened up on their real estate laws. Um, but yeah, it's not the first time that it's happened. It probably won't be the last. But I will tell you, this is really, everything that I've read. It's really starting to become an issue, and I think there needs to be more education towards. People need to be able to acquire more education towards those back end systems, and really understanding how this affects the actual borrowers. I mean, um, it's something that I just feel like, personally, I will not do a deal if I know that on the backside of that there's going to be the potential for a financial issue. And again, I'm going to put it on repeat again. You should never ever do or you should never acquire a subject to deal just because you can, just because it's cool, just because you think it's, you.
Amen.
I mean, you really have to take it seriously, way more seriously, I think, than, in my opinion, way more seriously than if I was just going out and buying investment properties, because if I make a mistake, that's on me. If I make a mistake on a subject to deal and I'm not paying that mortgage, not only have I now made a mistake and exposed myself to a ton of legal issues, I have also destroyed somebody else's potential future for a while. And so, it's a very, very, I don't know. This is more, the subject to is more of the, it's more about relationships than it is anything. You can buy a cash deal, close on that, walk away from the closing, and it's on your shoulders. But now you've got, with the subject to deal, now you've got not just you and um, the risk that you might expose yourself to by not making those payments, and you're destroying another person's life. So I
It,
think it's just way more. There's way more to subject to, and maybe it's not talked about enough. Maybe this
yes.
topic is not talked about enough.
Well, it's too much surface. I see. So all these people over the last few years have jumped on the bandwagon, like, and of course, subject to getting a subject to deal at a 3 or 4 or 5% interest rate compared to me going and getting a new loan at 7 to 8, like it's been in the last couple of years, like makes perfect sense, right? That is perfect. That's what you want to do as an investor, right? Because that's automatically building your cash flow, right? You want to control all that. But if you don't have some common sense, wait, let me back up, right? if you don't have integrity, regardless of whether you're dealing with subject to deals or not, then you shouldn't be in the real estate investing business, period. Okay.
Or
We're not
business.
here to screw people over. We're here to solve their problems and make their life easier. They can't make the subject to payments. They need to get out of it. We can solve that problem for them. But we say this over and over again, and this is just another perfect time to remind everybody. You are taking the responsibility of those payments. Your word is your bond. Integrity means something when you're dealing with the subject to buyers. I know it doesn't mean shit to anybody anymore, right? We don't, unless it's in writing, it doesn't exist. Like, I get that. But if I shake my seller's hand and say, this is what I'm going to do, I do it 100% of the time. Right. And of course, we put it in writing. Like, of course, like, I'm the document king. So obviously it goes in writing, but I don't say anything that I don't put in writing and follow through on with sellers. Part of having integrity.
Yeah.
Right. So I just can't get my head around why you would, I don't know. Sorry, it's just such a foreign concept to me I'm going in there with an intent to screw over people. But I think you're right, though. A lot of times it's not necessarily that intent. It's just like, I don't really know all the logistics of the sub two deal, and I got in way over my head, and now what am I going to do? Well, I'm just going to walk away,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. This is one of two things. It's either personal financial issues or just simply over leveraging. That's what this boils down to. So, anyway, not going to sit here and this whole podcast, this whole episode is not about what happened down there. It's I want to bring it back to talking about